Hey guys, how's it going? So I tried to record this video last night. I'm doing it the day of now. Last night didn't go too well. Not only can Frap be super strong, but apparently he can summon the rain, and that's a Tegu thing now because it is pouring out. It's been pouring out for the last 20 minutes, and I'm just sitting here trying to buy my time. The sun is out. I don't know, guys. Make sure to subscribe, though. You guys asked for this video, though, last week when I did the 5 things you should know before getting an Ackie monitor. So today, we are doing the 5 things you should know before getting a Tegu. So let's get to it. Like last time, I really thought these out, and I really came up with a list that I think you should definitely know before getting a Tegu. So let's get to it, guys. So when thinking this over, something just kept coming into my head over and over as a reference point, and I thought, this should probably be a point in itself, and that's the YouTube channel Rose City Reptiles. So for number 5, Rose City Reptiles, you should definitely have on your list, subscribe to, for the best Tegu information out there. It's one of the only channels I reference purely for information, so it is a really great channel. I particularly like his video on helping with stuck sheds. He talks about a supplement. I'll put that in the top right so you could go check that out and check his channel out. But very helpful stuff. I think if you are getting a Tegu, have a Tegu, you should be really paying attention to that channel. A lot of cool tips and tricks. Number 4, Brumation. Now, Brumation is such a big topic and is not really well understood in general in reptiles, let alone Tegus. So there's a lot of information today that nobody knows and nobody really has figured out. There's just a lot of assumptions, but that can make things going around Brumation rather difficult, cautious, and concerning. So I doubt you'll fully learn about Brumation, but you want to learn as much as you can because there's a lot of things that can be potentially hazardous to your Tegu if you don't account for it. Want to know what else is potentially hazardous? Not subscribing to this channel. Anyway, make sure to subscribe, guys. Make sure to hit that bell as well for the latest notifications, videos, news on the channel. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's continue, guys. Most importantly is understanding when to offer food and how to handle your Tegu going down on a full stomach. You do not want your Tegu's last meal sitting in their stomach for potentially 6 months. Let me tell you that. A lot of problems could definitely be caused. In those cases, though, you do probably want to wake them up if they go down on a full stomach. Give them a warm bath so they poop that out. Then let them go back down. They will go back down on their own. And when they wake up, don't always trust that they're up. Sometimes they just wake up briefly for a little bit of a period of time and then go back down. So just give them water and that's about it. But other things around Brumation, really just research the topic before getting a Tegu. It will save you some grief. I was very concerned throughout the first Brumation cycle of my Tegu just because I really haven't experienced before. It's not very prevalent in most commonly kept reptiles. Not saying that some of them can't go through a Brumation cycles. Usually they don't, and owners don't put them through that. So this is something new, and it's also a more advanced reptile in general, so it's just overwhelming and you do get concerned and want to make sure your guy's healthy while sleeping for 6-7 months. Number 3, size and strength. Now this is something obviously we should all know going into getting a Tegu. They are going to be a rather big reptile. They are going to be a lot stronger than a typically kept reptile in the hobby. But you really got to make sure that you're ready for a reptile that is potentially intimidating to you. I would lie if I said that Frap was never intimidating to me. You have to have this mutual respect between the two. It's a different relationship because you got to let them be when they're grumpy, and you have to approach them in different ways because you do not want to piss them off. Now luckily Tegus have a pretty calm demeanor overall. Now you might get a grumpy Gus or something like that, or one just isn't in the mood at certain times, but luckily overall they have a great demeanor. Still, that doesn't take away from them potentially being intimidating at times, especially their defense mechanisms are somewhat intimidating, their huffs, their archbacks, stuff like that. So just be prepared. This is a girthy reptile, 4 foot long, my guy's 13 pounds. It's just a very different thing, and it's very different in person, so don't discount that. Additionally, something I really didn't know until a couple months ago is how strong their tail whips are. Silly me thought that was an iguana thing. No, it's also a Tegu thing. In their tail, in their body, it's pure strength, it's pure muscle, so those things can really hurt when it's flailing around. They don't even have to hit you that hard. It's just getting slapped with a brick. It's just a warning, make sure that you're prepared to handle those things, and you know that's a possibility that you could go to the hospital from a Tegu bite, get some stitches, get tail whipped, get a couple bruises. You just gotta know that's a possibility, and be wary that this is a different relationship than most of your other reptiles, unless you have a large reptile already. Number 2. Diet and portioning. Now, diet and portioning have been something I've struggled with throughout Frap's life. Over portioning, over including phosphorus-based foods, which are the meats. This is something done very readily in the hobby as well. Luckily, I never made any video topics for you guys on what to feed your Tegu or anything like that. Yeah, I'm willing to admit when I screw up. Today, I am much more confident in how I feed Frappuccino. For one, most of his diet now is reptiles and whole prey, which makes portioning a lot easier, and all the components of his meal are already there, not being prepared and portioned out correctly. For reptiles, I feed 2 25-gram reptiles to him per meal, and I feed him twice a week. Whole prey is like a large mouse. That's usually what I do, but I don't do that super often. Now, my advice for you guys doing your own mixes for their feedings, I would portion it about something you can grip in your hand, something that fits into your palm and you can wrap your hands around. That's 1 portion, 1 meal, and I do that twice a week for an adult. Obviously, for babies and juveniles, their makeup for their diet's gonna be a little bit different, so don't include this mindset or thought when feeding a baby or juvenile Tegu. One thing I started doing that worked really well is my 2 feedings per week. One would be entirely veggie based with some fruits, no meats. This made him want veggies and greens a lot more since he was hungry and he couldn't really resist not eating, and everything he could choose from was healthy for him. It also cuts down on the phosphorus since you're offering less meat weekly, meaning less phosphorus that they're getting. Lastly, number 1, humidity. A lot of people like to forget about humidity and forget how much value it has to every little bit of your Tegu's living state, but it's super important. You really need to pay attention, and usually a lot of effects bad humidity has on your Tegu is not readily picked up by a lot of owners. There's a lot of owners out there I see that really forget about humidity and say that it's not a problem, especially those people who like to permanently free roam their Tegus. High humidity is important. The humidity in my enclosure I measure using 3 different probes, 1 around the basking spot, 1 around the hide, and 1 on the low end, because you need to see how it fluctuates around the enclosure because it can drastically. In the hide, I have a constant 95% plus humidity in there, and Frap loves to be in there and lay where the humidity's at. So do not discount how high they really like it. I wouldn't go below 80% except around the basking spot because, you know, it's gonna be very hot and dry up there. But I just want to strongly implore you to not forget about humidity. Like I said, a lot of people will say humidity is not that big of a deal. You don't need 80% plus all the time. And a lot of their Tegus, I have to say, look like they could be in a better condition. Also, if you're struggling with getting humidity up to a proper level, don't forget the stuff that you can add to the substrate that will help. Sphagnum moss, Eco Earth helps, the tropical one. Stuff like that you can add, and it will really help moisture retention in your substrate. I've gone through this. I didn't have it too low. It was in the mid 70s, but I really got some good advice to boost it up about a nice 10%, and ever since doing that, I think it's really worked well, and Frap has been a lot happier. Anyway, guys, that wraps up this video. Couple announcements before we finish. Shout out to you beautiful patrons out there, Smooth Cat, Herb M, David T, Angela L, Houston H. I have you guys ingrained in my head at this point. Thanks so much for being patrons. You guys too could be patrons for as little as $1 a month. Check the top right for more information. Very cool rewards, guys. Want some cool reptile merch? Until the end of this week, any profit I make on merch is going to US Ark Florida to help against SB 1414. They're doing a lawsuit. I have my Max Salad for Chumps t-shirt on right now. It's very hot out though because I have it in black, but very cool stuff. 4 designs. That'll be on the screen somewhere. Check the description for the Teespring link. Well, that wraps up this video, guys. I hope this was good and gave you guys good information. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.